as well. Okay, thanks. Welcome, everyone. My name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO of HBCU Connect and a partner with Trabajamos. I am actually not going to be your moderator. I'll introduce our moderator coming up next, but we are super excited to host you guys. I always like to kind of do this welcome to kind of give you a little bit of background because a lot of people think, wow, this is another opportunity to maybe just learn about Microsoft and Microsoft's opportunities, or maybe learn about a team within Microsoft AI platform. But this event is actually more than that. This event is a hiring event. And the hope is that some of you actually get hired as a result of you attending this event. We're going to collect the resumes. We should have your resume already, but if you want to submit an updated resume after the event, we will share your resumes with the Microsoft AI platform team so that they can review your resumes and reach out to some of you guys to invite you in for interviews, and hopefully you then get hired. So this is a special opportunity. We've done lots of events like this with Microsoft. We've been doing virtual, well, not only virtual recruitment events, but in-person recruitment events with Microsoft for the last 8 or 9 years now. Lots of people have been hired from these events, so you are in the right place to network, to ask questions, to learn more about Microsoft and the AI platform team, to meet some of the team members, to get a diverse perspective as well. So make sure to take advantage of that opportunity. Like I said, introduce yourself in the chat, ask questions as we go along, ask those questions in the chat, and then take advantage of the panel discussion as well. So super excited. But with that, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to our keynote and our moderator, Maria Alvarez. So Maria, if you're ready.
Thank you so much, Will, for the intro. Welcome, everyone. Buenas tardes, buenas noches. Encantados de tenerlos. It's a pleasure to have you all join. We are excited to have you and to tell you everything about our organization AI platform, as Will noted. I am Maria Alvarez. I'm originally from Valencia, Venezuela. I live in Los Angeles. I've been commuted to Microsoft for 10 years. I never moved to Seattle. I joined about 10 years ago. The first 8.5 was in Bing, the search engine and all the ads and the infrastructure side of that. Currently, I am the GM of the experimentation platform, the A/B testing for the entire company. All the major products use our platform, and also running the business services team, which is the team that makes things like this happen. Prior to Microsoft, I had multiple roles in engineering management and CTO positions in Symantec, Hewlett-Packard, Yahoo, Panda Security in Spain. I am the D&I executive sponsor for our division AI platform, and I'm also a board member of nonprofit organizations. And my hobby is I am an LA fan, so everything related to sports, that's what I love. And then you see in the picture there, I love talking and in recruiting talent to the company. And I have 3 kids, a family, and a grand dog. So let me tell you how this afternoon is going to run. So I'm going to be your moderator. I'm going to be telling you and running this on time, and we have multiple things here. And we're going to talk about AI platform and some of the products that we have, and how we are organized, and some of the positions or roles that we have and hire for. We'll have a teammate to do a demo of one of the services that we do to get you excited. And we have a wonderful panel of coworkers that will share about their journey here in Microsoft and how they made it here. Then we'll have a live Q&A, which will help us facilitate, and we all be answering questions. So make sure that you use the chat, as Will said. And then we'll talk about, we have representation from recruiting, and some of the next steps on how, this process will go. With that, before I jump into talking more about AI platform, I want to share a video. I'm not sure if we can hear the video. I'm having issues listening to the video.
I can hear it.
You can hear it. Okay, great.
Hi, this is Ben Betancourt. I don't think the guests can hear or see the video.
Yeah.
I think it froze just now.
So should I stop presenting? Is that what we need to do here?
I think it's good.
Should I proceed? I am not able to hear or listen to the video. It's stuck.
Okay, it just finished.
Okay, great. So I'll continue. I don't know if it's my. Okay, so now it's okay. Okay, now it's okay. So can they hear me now? Everybody can hear me?
Yes. There we go. We're good.
We're good? Okay.
Yep.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, I had a technical difficulty, so I couldn't see the video along with you. But the point is, this quote from Satya says it all. Everything that we have today, cars, refrigerators, you name it, is getting connected and becoming intelligent. So the world is becoming richer, rich. And computing is not about the computing industry, but it's about the entire world. And AI is the center of that. So what are we? So AI platform is our reason of being is AI is shaping the world and we shape AI. And so the AI platform mission is to aim to supply Microsoft first-party groups like Office, Bing, Azure, teams with critical AI infrastructure and services, and to grow and delight our third-party customers base of developers and data scientists. So I want to share with you kind of our portfolio of products and services, and how that maps to our organization. The first thing, we start with the MML platform, and that is the tools that we provide developers and data scientists to build, train, and deploy models. AML is the only cloud AML service that enables developers of all skill levels to build AML models. It provides an end-to-end management, lifecycle management for machine learning through ML ops. So imagine it's DevOps, but for machine learning, for models. It's built on an open source foundation for developers to choose the tools and processes of their choice. So that's kind of the foundation for devs to use and build models. The next part is our customizable AI models, and that is Azure Cognitive Services. And for that, we have pre-trained models for vision, speech, language, and decision. And you will see a demo of this later on. Then we have a scenario-based AI services. Many customers have told us, hey, can you do something on top of the, APIs and models for specific scenarios? For example, vision recognition, form recognizer. So we use our vision to detect for example, in a form and extract the fields and put that in a database. Very easy, kind of solution to use for third-party customers. And then we have applications on top of this layering cake, as we call it. So we have, Microsoft 365. We have, Office. They are, if you have used some of the recent, designer for PowerPoint, the Microsoft Word, that anticipates what you're gonna type, what you can say in your essay, in your email. Some of these features, it is using our technology. And if you have used Teams, we're using, if we do transcription here, we can transcribe to another languages, or, have captions as well for people that have some, vision impaired or things like that. So that is all powered by our technology that we produce in AI platform. So if you, so our organizational blueprint is, based on a little bit on, what we produce. So we have 4 major pillars. One is Cox services. That is everything about the pre-trained models and providing APIs for people to use and enhance. Machine learning is the development tools for creating and training models and deploying them. AI frameworks is more about making machine learning practitioners and engineers more efficient through optimized libraries that they can use and tools. And then the last pillar is the experimentation platform, which is the team that I lead, where we create a platform that allows teams in the company to do experiments, to do which features are good to release and do data-driven decisions. We also have horizontal teams across multiple geographies, and then that support these 4 pillars. So, if you think about it, in a simple way, we have 2 businesses. One business is everything related to APIs and providing those services to others that can do additional services on top, and the tools, experimentation, machine learning, and the AI frameworks. Now, I'm going to mention here what type of roles we have in each pillar. So the disciplines are program management, developers, data science. For Cox services, that's what we have, across the board. Those are the majority of the roles that we have. We have multiple locations, Bellevue, Silicon Valley, Cambridge. The same thing for Azure Machine Learning. We have North Carolina. We have a lot of big, global development centers. Big one is China. And then we have other like Atlanta, Austin, so the roles are similar across the board, program management, development, and data science. We have in some cases researchers as well. And then now in this era of COVID and in hybrid work life, and then these are the main locations where we're open for people to be in different places and work whenever they are. And then we prefer people close to a hub, and we have multiple hubs beyond the big ones, just for proximity and being close to people. But this is a different world, and we're embracing it fully, remote work. So now I'm going to pass it on to Hassan, a co-worker. He is going to give you a demo of cognitive services.
Hello, everyone. How are you? So my name is Heiser Al-Hammami. I am a program manager for the cognitive services. In my past roles, I was a software developer at several companies, and just a fun fact, I've also lived in a lot of places similar to Maria. I was born in Cyprus. I lived in London, Bahrain, Istanbul, Cairo, Portland, Oregon, and also Montreal. And I am also a huge sports fan, but instead of American sports, they're more around football in Europe. Specifically, Chelsea is my favorite team. And enough about me. I want to talk to you all about cognitive service for language. So when Maria was describing one of the different sects of the AI platform. One of them was cognitive services, and within each cognitive service, there is a pillar specifically for language. And in language, we deal with anything that has to do with analyzing text. And there are multiple different ways that you can actually analyze text, and a lot of them will be available as part of the cognitive service for language. So these are the different capabilities and features that actually exist as part of our service. We separate them into three distinct categories. There is classify text, extract information, and understand conversation. So, for example, classifying text allows us to analyze sentiment or detect language, or even you can create your own custom text classification models specifically for longer types of documents. There's also extracting information, where you can extract a bunch of relevant information from text, such as personally identifiable information, named entities like person names, locations, organizations, or even health information. And you can also, similar to classification, create your own custom named entity recognition models to extract out your own entities that you define and you can train ML models for from documents. And the final category is the one that I'm actually most focused on, is understanding conversation. So when it comes to being able to embed intelligence in natural language applications, thinking of chatbots or command and control devices, or even in IVR scenarios, understand conversations is where you would do this. You can use things like custom question answering to upload a set of FAQ documents and extract out questions and answers from them. So when users ask questions, it returns them as answers. Or you can use something like conversational language understanding to create your own intent and entity classifiers, which is actually what I'll be demoing. So all of those capabilities are actually accessible through a website called the Language Studio. This is the portal in which you can create and try out any of those capabilities that I just mentioned. And I'll actually be demoing that right now. Let me share my screen and tell me when you can see it.
Good to go.
Awesome. So in language.azure.com, you can immediately see all of those different features that I just mentioned, and you can actually try them out. So I'm just going to go ahead and try out extract health information. And over here, you'll see that you can put in your own text for analysis, or you can use some of the samples that we have here. Just for time, I'm going to use one of these short prescription samples, and I'm going to run that. And what we'll see here is it will extract out relevant health information for me. It'll extract out the dosage, the medication name. It'll even provide the list of different data sources or medical data sources that the ibuprofen medication actually has. It'll also be available for all the other ones as well. And you'll also even see relationships between the dosages and the actual medication itself with this dosage of medication relationship. That is the friendly user view that you see here. And as well, we actually are calling the API underneath, and we're actually getting this JSON response over here. And this is what you would get if you were to integrate with this capability programmatically. Of course, this is a simple JSON response. And we also offer you the option to create your own API request using this curl command over here. Of course, you could use something like Postman to do the same thing. There's also sample code that's available, and there's also the SDK that you can integrate with directly. It's not just the APIs, it's also the SDKs that allow you to connect to any of these capabilities. And this is just one of the different options that we have. There's also sentiment analysis, which can analyze sentiment of certain customers. So for example, this is a review for a restaurant, and when I run that, I can actually identify the sentiment for every individual sentence, whether it was positive or negative for that customer review. And for every individual sentence as well, you can also identify opinions, which means you can see what the actual opinion for a specific target was immediately. So I know that over here, this spot was actually adored. That was the opinion that was extracted. For the second sentence, the menu was great and the food was marvelous. So we're able to identify both the assessment and the target, and this is what we call opinion mining. So all of the pre-built capabilities here that you see are easily accessible, and we can also jump to a custom capability where create their own projects or ML models to serve a specific scenario. So let's use conversational language understanding as one of those capabilities. So for example, over here, you can create your own project that is used to build a chatbot for email domain commands and control. So you can say things such as you want to send an email, you want to read an email, you might want to delete something, reply to something, and this should make it easier to kind of interact with your email through speech commands. And you would use conversational language understanding to create the different intents you expect your users to express. You would press on add here, create the intent, and then you would also mention what are the entities, what are the pieces of information you expect to extract from those pieces of utterances to help people fulfill that request. So for example, you might want to send an email, you need to know the contact that you're sending to, or you also might want to say what is the actual email subject in here as well. So when you define that schema, when you specify what are the intents and entities, you go ahead and you actually add training data specifically to train those machine learned models for those intents and entities that we just mentioned. You provide examples for every intent and you would label for the entities themselves. So when I have over here is send an email with subject CSS training deep dive to Cameron, I can easily, I've actually appended that to the send email intent as training data, and I can easily highlight this text and say this is the entity for email subject. And you can also use one of these highlighters on the right here to do that as well. And you would simply highlight that text for a specific entity. And what that does is it will train a machine learned model under the hood to learn where email subjects and contact names come from based on context. So it's going to use the machine learning to understand when it should expect these entities to show up within an utterance, as well as it will use machine learning to classify any of these utterances to any of the intents that we have available in our project. Once you're done, you can save those changes to make sure that they're persisted. And then after that, you can train a model. That model can finally get deployed, so you can actually test it out. And when you test it out, you can do something like send an email to Carol about the demo. And I'm just going to capitalize Carol here and run that as a test. And what I see is the top intent is in fact send email, and it was able to predict that Carol was a contact name and demo was a subject. And what's actually interesting about this service is that it actually works for multiple different languages out of the box. So even though I've only provided training data in English, it is actually multilingual under the hood. So that means I can translate this to other languages. Let me try to translate this to French, for example. And what I can do here is copy that over, run that as a test. And then I see I still get the right top intent predicted for me, as well as the contact name and the email subject. So and that's because using the multilingual technology that has been developed, it is very easy for us to try this out on other languages, even though I've only provided training data in one language. And we can even use a language that is in a completely different script. Let's use simplified Chinese, for example. And I'm going to copy that over as well. Try to run that as a test against my deployed model, and I still see that I get the right top intent, which is send email. The contact name and email subject are extracted, and we can check if these are in fact Carol and demo as they're supposed to be by translating them back from simplified Chinese to English. And I do see that contact name was in fact translated back to Carol, and the same thing for email subject. We should expect this to be demo. And when I do translate that back, that is in fact the case. I do get this. So all of these capabilities, all of these services that you've just seen, they start with PMs defining the product, identifying what the product should look like, should feel like, what are the features and capabilities it should have. And all of this are showing up as features under the language service. And then the scientists actually create these machine learning models that enable all of these capabilities for extracting health information, analyzing sentiment, or even creating the underlying models that are used for customization for things like conversation language understanding. The scientists are the one that really get deep into the AI and machine learning of all of these capabilities. The developers then use the technology, develop APIs and services that are scalable around them. And finally, the front-end engineers visualize these experiences, and they work on building out these capabilities to ensure that people can access them easily and they can are exposed to multiple different customers. So that is it for my demo. I'll stop presenting. And I think the last thing that we'll see here is just if you want to try out everything that I just showed, you can get started by going to language.cognitive.azure.com and signing in. You can also create a resource in Azure that will give you access, as well as access the documentation at aka.ms/language-docs, so you can read about all of those different capabilities and how to use them. And I'll hand it back to Maria.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you for the demo. So now we're going to move to the next part of our chat today, and we are going to have a terrific panel with people across the different teams. And we're going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to ask some questions of them, and then at the end we'll have a live Q&A that Abe is going to be collecting, and all of us will be answering. So I want to introduce the panelists, if they can turn on their videos. So terrific panelists. We have Priscilla, Joanna, Hugo, and Franklin. And so I'm going to have them to introduce themselves first, and then we'll start the Q&A. So let's start with Priscilla. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, everybody. It's great to have you all here. I'm Priscilla Moraes, originally from Brazil. Salvador, which is a city in the Northeast, coastal city. I've been in the US since 2008, in Microsoft for a little over 6 months now, and I'll be glad to talk a little bit about everything that I've done and answer all the questions. It's great to have you.
Great. Thank you, Priscilla. The next one is Joanna.
Hi, everybody. So good day. I'm Joanna Machado. Thank you for having me here. I have been with Microsoft now for 5 years. This is my second time with the company. I love the company. I started with the company back in 2016, working with a subsidiary, with the SMC, a small and medium corporate group of customers, different roles. Then I moved into more about public sector, and then now I'm with the AI team, sitting in engineering. So past roles, I already shared that, something fun about me. So I'm passionate about learning. I think that learning is really something that I love, and it's recommended for all of you to continue learning, and and also enjoy spending time with family and friends, and love pets. I have 2 cats, 1 dog, and 1 ferret. That's me. Thank you, Maria. Going back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. All right, Franklin. You're muted.
Mute.
I had to be the one. It always happens in every meeting. Hello, everyone. I'm Franklin. I'm originally from Mexico. I went to college there and started at Microsoft back in '98. Actually, I had 2 stints, so a total of 15 years. First from '98 to 2007, where I mostly work on Windows, Internet Explorer, and Windows Media Player, things like that. More recently, I'm working on the Microsoft Translator team. So I manage our applications team for Translator for iOS and Android, and part of that. I also work on other companies in the industry like eBay, Amazon, and some startups. Something fun about me, I love fly fishing, and I build guitars in my spare time. So.
Cool. Excellent. Great. Thank you so much, Franklin. So we'll start with the first question, and I would love to hear, how each of you got to Microsoft. Tell us about your journey.
I think we forgot to introduce Hugo.
Yeah, what if I introduce myself and then I answer?
I'm so sorry, Hugo. Sorry. Thank you for.
No worries. Yeah, hey everybody. Yeah, my name is Hugo. I'm principal software engineer. I'm a manager now in Microsoft. I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I got my degree there and moved to US 2007 and then joined Microsoft 8 years ago. Initially as a developer with Bing, one of the teams in Bing. Then I became the manager of the team. I grew the team to up to 30 people. And then I decided to become again an IC or just individual developer. I was doing that for a few months. And when I joined Azure ML, but last month I became a manager again. So now I have a team. We are on when you train your models and you need to deploy those models, the UI, Python SDK, and CLI, that you do that. That's owned by my team. Fun fact, I've been recently becoming more and more active. I'm an active paintball player in the senior league here in Seattle, which I love. I've been playing there for 8 years already. And tennis as well, and love to cook outdoors, smoking, grilling, whatever. So thank you for being here. Happy to share more about my team.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugo, and sorry for missing you. And then now we have Ave, that I want you to introduce Ave, that he's going to be moderating our Q&A as well.
Hey everyone, my name is Abe Margwa. I can't turn on my camera right now, so I'll just intro without my video. But I went to school in Canada and I've been in the US for 2 years now, working at Microsoft for 2 years. So I'll be moderating the chat. And I've had a bunch of experience in university before Microsoft, just as an intern at Microsoft and other multiple companies like BlackBerry, if you still remember them, or an IBM. And similar to Asim, I lived in many different countries, Ireland and Canada, and now in the US. So nice to meet you all, and I'll be moderating the chat. Please ask your questions in the chat, and I'll ask them to Maria a bit later.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abe. All right, so I want you to share, each of you, your journey to Microsoft and how that has been. So let's start with Hugo.
Yeah, how I ended up with Microsoft. Well, I used to work for a smaller company before, probably 100 employees, multinational. I started to, go up in the organization and more focus on planning and strategy, things like that. And I got a little bit bored. I decided to re-energize my career. And I started to look at different companies. And Microsoft moved super fast on interviewing and making an offer. So I was applying probably April and I was moving here in August. So it was a great opportunity for me. And I think it was one of the best decisions I made. I moved all the way from Miami to here. Yeah, I miss beach and all of that, but definitely here you can live pretty nicely, quality of life, and the company is great. I've been learning a lot. I have played different roles based on what I do, and also IC manager, etc. So that's how I ended up here. One interesting thing is, even I joined as a senior and everything, but when you join a new company, after you're used to your old job, you come here, then you need to ask a lot of questions. You need to ramp up like everybody. Sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming, but if you are brave and reach out to people, people are willing to help you. And after that, I mean, it's been a blast to be here.
Great. Thank you, Hugo. How about Priscilla?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to get to know my manager through LinkedIn, and we were chatting about interesting topics around optimization of models, and I was getting really excited about the field. So when the position opened, they mentioned that, and of course I applied. I had the even bigger pleasure of getting to know Maria during the process, which is she completely inspired me with letting me know about the culture, about everything within the company. So I was really, really lucky to have found my tribe. But before that, I was also working with really interesting projects around learning, creating assets, and I continue to do that. I will find places and opportunities here to do those things that I value, that I love, even within a new team and within a new mission. So that was how I ended up at Microsoft, getting my job here through LinkedIn, through networking.
Cool. Great. That's awesome. Networking is great. Events like these are great to bring talent. So Joanna, tell me about your journey.
Sure. Yeah, how I get here. So, well, I wasn't really looking for a change of job at that time. So neither a change in my career, but I was curious, right? So curiosity is, a good quality to have. So back in 2016, or maybe early on those days, I was started to work in the company that I previously was on, hybrid models for cloud. So the company was looking into transformation. So it was a hardware company looking how to play a role. Remember, 5, 8 years ago in the cloud, right? Especially how they are going to redefine their purpose, right? So I start looking and getting more involved into the cloud business and the transformation. I get passionate about the transformation. At that time, I have the opportunity to participate in some meetings with colleagues, networking again, not necessarily through LinkedIn, but people that I know that is also from the country where I come, and people that is involved with the technology and sharing, passion, right? Talking about what we love to do. And then I get the opportunity to jump into an interview, as Hugo was describing. It was a really quick. So one of the things that I love about the process is just not only how fast it is, how the opportunity you have to engage with different people, that also in the interview tell you more about the culture, the diversity, the growth mindset that Microsoft have, and that's passionate me about. And again, match pretty much the transformation type of, and I'm, a person that I thinking always on change, right? Because change is related with learning and how I can do better, what I need to be doing now to be better tomorrow, right? And that's resonate a lot with what the company is and how I definitely decide to join Microsoft.
Great, awesome. Franklin.
Okay, I have to master the mute button here. My journey to Microsoft. So I actually had two stories because I joined twice. So the first one is a very typical one. Microsoft went recruiting to my college, my home college. I was actually about a year out of college back then, working in local companies in Mexico, and there was a recruiting event, not quite like this one, but the version of that back in '98. And I went and met a good number of Microsoft employees that went through the interview process, and they hired us and flew us back here, and me and my family relocated here. So that's my first join back in '98. More recently, in 2015, I left Microsoft in 2007 to pursue the world of mobile development more, which was my passion. Well, is my passion. That's what I'm doing today. And I was working at a startup in 2015, and Microsoft acquired us in 2017. So I came back through acquisition, which was a great experience as well. And then I subsequently moved to the Azure team just a couple of years ago.
Awesome, great. So two great stories. Awesome. Now tell us a little bit about what do you like about Microsoft? What is your favorite part of Microsoft? And I like because we have here different tenures in the company. We have Priscilla that just joined 6 months ago. We have Joanna with 15 years, Hugo in the middle, like 7 years or something. And then Franklin, is twice. So how is that? So let's say, Franklin, we're starting with you. Tell us your favorite, thing about Microsoft. What you like about it?
I'm gonna be very honest. What I love most about Microsoft is how different it was from my first experience at Microsoft. I think Microsoft is a company that really evolves, and just the first time I joined was right when Internet Explorer was the second browser in the market, and Netscape had a big majority. And you may remember all the stories of how Microsoft turned around and basically dedicated to the internet. And so on. Nowadays, we made an even more significant transformation, I think, with Azure. But not only that, but also the way employees are no longer just resources. And I think Microsoft is ahead of the curve in the industry. You see so many things about stories about whether employees are valued and whether you can have a great working environment. I think we have the best on the industry right now, and I've been in many places and I've been so happy here with the new culture that we have created.
That's awesome. Well, Microsoft is #1 in inclusion and D&I and inclusion across the world. So that is a great, testament of the cultural change that the company has embraced since Satya joined as the CEO. Thank you, Franklin. Hugo, do you have, what has been your favorite part?
Well, I think the cultural shift, I think one of the favorite parts, I remember when I had accepted my offer, I read in the news that Steve Ballmer was leaving the company and then Satya was going to come. And I said like, oh, what time I'm joining, what is going to be coming? But then when I joined, I mean, Steve Ballmer was there for maybe 1 year and change. And all the changes have been happening after that. Have been amazing to see how people are embracing a new culture and new set of values. And you can see everywhere people thinking about how to make this a better place to work, work-life balance, being more, inclusive, more respectful, by being more open. So I think that creates an environment where people are happier and people are willing to bring their A games to a job, and that I think is related to a success that Microsoft have been having and all different areas, including the stock market, for example, because people are excited about being here and they do their best, and it's reflected on what we are delivering to our customers. So that's one of the things that, and of course also the magnitude, right? Everything you touch here, you talk about millions of people's lives that you're touching. So those are two things that I really enjoy.
Great. Thank you. Joanna?
Sure. So one thing that I love is just, I like the Satya's generation, and love our mission to empower everybody to achieve more, right? And that not only translate on customer and partner, which is important, right? All the customer obsessed, because all the things that we do, it has a purpose, right? So if we find that purpose on everything that we do, it makes sense, you engage in a different energy level, you do the things in a different way, right? So having, that mission and knowing that everything, even a call with a customer, this type of meeting, for example, when we can do and give more to the community and share our experiences, is something that is really inspiring, right? We are not doing what we are doing only for the dollars that count, but it's not only, right? So how we, in my case, find that company that also allow me to learn. And when I mentioned the ground mindset, it's not that we are all perfect, right? If you are learning, you are able to experiment, to explore things that you not necessarily know that you have a strength, and also explore your weaknesses, because then you can collaborate with others and continue to develop yourselves, because you want to make that purpose, right? Because if you are better, you can serve customers, partners, and also work with your colleagues better. So that's something that I love, because it's not only a cliche, it's not a slogan, it's something that you live and breathe every day, right? So if Hugo was saying, so if you need a meeting or you are new in the company, ask question. I wasn't sure it was Hugo or Franklin, any of those. And that's true, because if you are open to say, I don't know, right? Even though you have been hired for the role, you don't know everything. So if you keep humble with that ground mindset and try to find, different ways to do the things, you will be successful here. And that's what I love from Microsoft, definitely.
Great. I love the point that you made about the growth mindset. So the company moved many years ago from knowing it all to learning it all. And I love that phrase. That's one of my favorite, learning it all. Even with many years of experience and all that, we are learning things every day. And so that's important. That's one of my favorite. And the other thing that I'll pass it to Priscilla, but one of the things that was very inspiring was one time I was listening to Satya talking to, several employees or hundreds of employees. And what he said was, going back to what Joanna said about the mission, we are here to enable and empower everybody in the world. So he said, use Microsoft as your platform for you in how you want to contribute. So how you want to grow and all that. So I thought that was very powerful. So Priscilla, how about you? What is your favorite part about Microsoft?
Wow. Yeah, this is a hard one to follow, because I agree with everything, right? So I agree with the points made on how Microsoft is able to adapt. It has evolved being the size it is, right? And I think the most wonderful thing that I see is, besides being one of the largest in the planet, right? On the planet, tech companies, uh, at the same time that is so big, and it's everywhere in the globe. We have teams. I still feel very connected with everybody that I work with. The pandemic, we know, brought situations, brought a lot of things for us to rethink the way we work and those connections. But it's not only about having the space or the platform to talk, is being personal in a sense that if you need, people will be there for you. If it truly feels is small, and you know that circle that you have is there, and it is your support system, right? Even though it is such a large company. So that is, I think, to me, what makes me feel so happy to have joined, to have made that move in my life, is everything that we talk about is lived, right? So when we talk about culture, we talk about inclusion, those things are not just on paper. Those things are being acted upon, and people are taking measures and having meetings and discussing how can we improve the environment, how can we make people feel even better when they come to work, right? So I think that is, to me, it's what have gained my heart fully. Yeah, Microsoft. Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to move a little bit of, there are many great things about the company, there are many things in the headlines and all that. But what is something that you, in the case of Priscilla, for example, so Priscilla, that surprised you, that you think that, you didn't expect that of Microsoft, and therefore, we can improve upon?
Yeah. So I think one thing that would never, I wouldn't be able to tell is we have many different things. So sometimes what I feel is like these do better already, right? So, but because we see so many, it's so diverse in the set of tools and systems that we need to use. There's so many options. Sometimes it may be a little hard to navigate. So until I'm seasoned and tenured, I will be knowing all my way on everything. But sometimes I'm like, no, so these could have improved, but it's way better probably. I can't speak to 5 years ago, but as we migrate everything to web-based, and remember Microsoft created DOS, right? Windows 3.11. So we're talking about now having everything at 365, right? In the span of a couple decades. 3 decades, where everything has been, so different now, and we're following all of that with the quality that we have. So even though there is still that feeling, oh, it could be better, if we put in perspective and you understand what is taking to move a company of this size throughout the eras, right? I think it's not actually something for one to complain. But I think that was something that I wouldn't expect when I joined. I would expect things more figured out, because I think we are immediatists, right? But yeah, that's
Great.
on my end. Yeah.
How about you, Joanna?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I can think right now in something, but pretty much something, anything that I can say. So with the new normal hybrid work environment, so the dynamics and the tools, showing some different side of the coin, right, has been, empower me on the things that I do, how I work, right? So now it's a hybrid type of work. So, and also this is my second time at Microsoft, right? And in my journey, I had been changed role almost every year, right? So it's like, that opportunity to change and adapt to change. And I think that is really good, right? One thing that, maybe we need more talent, and that's why I'm participating in these type of conversations, not because we don't have it, it's because the diversity bring, different type of thinking, different backgrounds, so we can engage in more rich conversations, right? So if I could say something that I have been seeing that the company is already doing, but I would recommend to do more and expand, are conversations like this one, and not only internally, but having the opportunity to interact with people that is outside the company, that have a different angle for the things that we are doing, how we are doing that is something that I will recommend, right? So I will say that pretty much.
Great. I'm going to change it a little bit, and I'm going to ask Hugo. Hugo, tell us about a typical day. What is a typical day for people to know how it looks like?
That's a good question. As an IC or as a manager?
As an IC.
As an IC. Well, typical day, I mean, as an IC, you in the morning, of course, you check your emails, check out your schedule and what is planned for the day. There are usually many meetings, even for ICs. Some of them are most likely about design reviews. It's going to be maybe about the life side or on-call reviews of what's happened, or it's going to be about teams meeting. Beyond that, it's going to be code reviews that you do on your desk. You receive people, they do pull requests, and then you receive a bunch. People pinging you on IM because they need reviews. That I think it happens in every company. Everyone wants their code to be reviewed. Another thing is, well, at least myself, at least weekly, I try to get involved into D&I in some way. Try to put a little bit of time there. A lot of, let's say, if you get more senior, it's less about coding and more about driving agreements about how things are going to be done and bringing teams together. As an IC, it's slightly more difficult because you don't have formal authority sometimes, but you need to develop your influencing skills to bring people together and have the job done. Sometimes when you're looking at features that touches different teams, you need to create that consensus about what needs to be done, and etc. And that takes time and skills, and so yeah, that's kind of the things as an IC I was doing. When you are the management side, then well, you start having to think more about career on your team, about making sure that people are on block, one-on-ones, talent reviews. So to start adding those things to your day.
Great. Thank you. Franklin, now that you are part of the cognitive services team. The cognitive services team has people all over the world. So how is it working remotely with everybody, being remote, different time zones, and now with many people joining, even, not to an office, but, in their own places where they live. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my team is actually mostly located here, although some of our teams on my manager's org are based on Egypt and some in Europe. So we do work really across time zones, and I think we have a team in China as well. So I think from the get-go, we have been used even before COVID to working across time zones and be very effective at communicating and trying to find the best ways to work and partner with other people across organizations. Now with COVID for the last year and a half, 2 years, we all remote. So that has, I think, in a certain way, although I do miss meeting everybody every day and having those extra conversations, it also has brought us a lot more together because we get to reach out more to each other and try to find the occasions to work together and find new ways of working together. Overall, I think communication is key. If you can keep good communication, because even without this new hybrid work mode, again, working across time zones is unavoidable. We want to be where the talent is. And I think that's a great thing about Microsoft that I've seen evolving. Before it was a very centric Redmond culture, and now instead of saying we're going to try to bring the talent here, we actually want to go where the talent is, and be effective at that. And tools like Teams and many others have really made that a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think one of the things that, COVID, the positive side of it, is that the remote work was it leveled the playing field for everybody, and has helped people in Redmond, or the big sites that we have, realize that you have people, and that is very hard to collaborate, to talk in a meeting. So now everybody's more aware. We all have to take turns, use the raise the hand and things like that. So I think that has been learning for all of us. And that's something that the teams are aware, across the board to continue. Priscilla, how has been your experience? Because you joined 6 months ago, but even if we were in person, you are remote, you are not in Redmond. So how has that been for you in working with the team?
Yeah, so we were actually talking about that last time we had those moments where we just chill out, we just get a cup of coffee, like a happy hour type of moment to connect and bond as well, right? So we don't meet only about work. So we were discussing about how, me personally, right? How I try to now pay more attention to every person that is on the meeting than I used to do when I was sitting in the meeting room. So I feel like people from my team, I know their body language even better now, because every time we're meeting, I pay attention to them. So I try to catch those things. So right now, up to this point, people are not completely back in the office. So I'm still having the same experience as everybody else. Um, so we will see when we go back to the office, but we are implementing measures, reminders, so that people who are working remotely still have access to everything. They're still making, everybody's paying attention to the fact that we should not be uh, holding important conversations in the hallway without involving all the folks, because that is also about inclusion, is reminding to have everybody present in all discussions. So that is all points that everybody is concerned about, not only folks who are sitting outside of Redmond, folks there are also paying a lot of attention to that. So I feel comfortable, I feel confident that the journey is going to be as enjoyable as it can be. I'm planning to go visit the team, of course, and I will go as often as I can. Being a manager, I would like to go see my reports, and then get to know my managing person as well. But yeah, right now I feel no difference from both performance or engagement from anyone else on the team. So I don't feel left out. I don't feel like things are considered to happen just for the folks. The offsites that will or planning will be where everybody's gonna be there in person for the offsite. So there's no plan that will be leaving anyone that sits outside of the main hubs out. So I feel that to me there is no difference working from Austin. Yeah, because I'm in Austin, Texas, by the way, folks. So yeah, I feel
Great.
really included in everything.
Now I have one final question. We are kind of time for the live Q&A, but quickly, super quick, lightning. I want you to tell me one phrase as a tip for all these people that are wanted to, possibly interview with us and go through the process. What is a tip? What tip would you give everybody here as they go through the process potentially of interviewing with us? Joanna, quickly.
Okay, I will say be yourself, right? Don't overthink the stuff. Be yourself and keep, join in the interviews with an open mindset, right? So you are talented, you can make it. We are more than happy to have a talent here.
Awesome. Hugo.
One single tip that is, let's see. Yeah, it's okay if you don't know something. I mean, that happens. Even in an interview, you sometimes will get a question that you won't be able to answer. Even in my interview, I got interviewed by 4 people, and probably I didn't ace all of those, right? I think the most important part is that you are, perseverant, trying, asking questions, trying to find that answer. Sometimes we value much more the competency of driving that result than having the response right there. So don't get discouraged. Just do your best, and people will notice.
Awesome. Priscilla.
I would say so for the recruiting aspect. Trust your skills, trust the value you're bringing, right, to the team, and be prepared, right. Get ready. Make sure that you know what you're interviewing for. Do your homework, because it's always important. You have 45 minutes on each interview to get that message through. So make sure that you understand what you're interviewing for, getting ready, but then trust your ability, trust your skills, trust your knowledge, and everything you bring to us.
Great. Franklin.
What I would say is less about what you know, what you've done before, and it's more about what are you bringing to the table that is unique and how willing you are to learn. That's what I always tell people that I'm interviewing. We want to bring different points of views to solve problems, and the last thing we want is a monotonic culture where everybody thinks the same, because then we end up boxing into the same solutions.
Awesome, Franklin. So if I recall quickly, Joanna, be yourself. Hugo, ask questions. Priscilla, do your homework. And Franklin, you are bringing something, to us. So what is your uniqueness that you can, sell during the interview? With that, thank you so much, Abe. It's time for us to have the live Q&A. So take it away.
Awesome. So basically what I've been doing throughout the whole hour meeting, I've been just copying everybody's questions and putting them in a Word doc. And I noticed one big theme so far. A lot of people are asking questions around, what is the day-to-day as a software engineer? What do I code in? How do I get things done? If I don't have AI experience, how do I, gain that experience? So I know Hugo, Franklin, and Joanna are all, I think, all engineering managers. So I'm just going to ask one of the questions that kind of ties into all of that, right? The question is around what technologies are used for back-end AI software development? And then you can go in and, you can describe how, that's used and how you can bring in skills from other jobs to learn.
Hugo, do you want to go first?
About the languages that we use?
For backend.
Yeah, I think it varies. Most of the backend is probably C#, but we're doing more and more Python, at least in my team. But I believe programming languages have never been a barrier for people that I have hired. I think if you have a good fundamentals, you are able to learn any language. So that shouldn't be a problem. In fact, even when you interview, we don't care what kind of language you use to answer the coding questions. We are just looking to the way how you go to problems and how you are detail-oriented and things like that. At the end of the day, a language is a language. So not a problem. I recently had experience with Rust, which I never had. So yeah.
Great. Franklin?
Well, my team is a little different in that we are not really working on backend. But we're actually writing clients that utilize the Azure services. So my team is kind of very different. We use mostly non-Microsoft technologies. So we are writing iOS applications using Xcode, Swift, Objective-C. We're doing Android applications using Java, Kotlin, Android Studio, and things like that. And I think the answer here is like we will use whatever is the right tool for the job. And I think Microsoft has really moved away from you have to use Microsoft technologies. We are trying to connect the world, and the world is not just Microsoft technologies. So we'll go where the tech is.
Great. Joanna, Priscilla, do you want to add anything here, or we can go to another question, but I want to give the opportunity for you both if you want to add.
Yeah, so I will say that, don't worry about that. So when you join Microsoft, there are many boot camps on Azure, depending on your role. And any language that you need to know is going to be, in the hiring process, the first month of the the first month, you are going to be able to, get into those boot camps with people that already know about the languages or the platform. So you will be able to learn, and it's part of the process, right? So we don't expect that, anyone know everything. So the hiring process and the tools and trainings that we provide are things on the role and what the role needs to know. So, be confident when you join, you will be able to get access to all of that.
Great. Okay. Ave, do we have another question?
Yeah. Another one is a similar question, but it's coming from the PM perspective. So any PMs, people interested in PMs can get some perspective here. So the question is, could you talk on how does the role of program managers involved in the AI space? How different is it from conventional PM roles, and what are the similarities?
Priscilla, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can speak to DPMs I've been working with, right, for the project. So I mean the AI frameworks, one of the pillars that Maria presented, and we have PMs leading the business research and market research to understand the tendencies, what the product or the strategy should be heading. They sometimes will be the folks bringing customers to us, and then being the interface between the engineering team and the main stakeholders, most of the time the customers that we're serving. So I believe it varies across the org, but the program managers within AI frameworks that I work with for the training of Onyx runtime, that's their positioning. So they are making sure that blogs get posted. They make sure that they to engage and they assess metrics on engagement for the framework. So they can have a very vast set of assignments and responsibilities. It will vary based on their skills, their passion, where they get fit. So we have a team of PMs. One focuses on development, engagement, and community. The other one focuses on customers and corporate. The other one focuses on metrics, right? So it depends. So even that will be based on the skills, and they do right now have the AI knowledge, but I don't believe that it is a requirement to have it. If they know how to manage programs, they would then pick up on AI pretty easily as they would any other product, I believe.
Great. Thank you, Priscilla. Ave, another question?
Yeah, another question is kind of the theme I'm seeing as well. Two questions like this came up, was around the aspect of, do I really need to have AI experience or AI background to get a job on the AI team at Microsoft? And how important is that?
Got it. So that will depend, I'll answer a little bit on that. It depends on the role. So as mentioned, by some of the panelists already, depending on the, you can learn it if you can have transferable skills from other jobs or other places. Some other roles may require that you have, more senior roles, technical roles, architect roles, or that may require that you have, depending on the team, that you have AI background. Anyone has any other, like from the panelists, any?
Yeah,
I think that
sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go. No, you can go.
All right. I would say, actually, in the case of my org, I would say a big interest on AI is great. Experience, not so necessary. A lot of the work we do is software engineering, and software engineering will apply. There's particulars you will need to learn, but again, what we're looking is what you're bringing to the table. So.
Hugo.
Yeah, no, in those lines, at the end of the day, even if you work on ML, those models are going to be deployed somewhere, and that requires knowledge about cloud, about services, so you need to have a deep understanding of ML in order to join this team, for sure.
Great. Ave?
The next one is really around kind of the process of interviewing. So we got two questions. One, and this could be a two-part question. One saying, are there coding challenges in the interview process? and the other asking, what are the tools you recommend to practice and prepare for the coding interview questions?
Great. I will pass this to Hugo. He has done a lot of this in the past. So Hugo.
Yeah, well, definitely if you're applying for a software engineering role, you're going to get coding challenges. That's part of what we assess. So at least 2 or 3 interviews are going to be around that. To get prepared, there are many ways. When I did it, I went to the basics, going over the fundamentals that I refreshing, you know, all the data structure and things like that. Books, there are many good books out there. The one I used was Cracking the Coding Interview. That's pretty popular, so you can try that. And these days you have LeetCode and many other websites when there are problems there and you can go and practice. And the other thing that you can do is have mock interviews. If you are able to find a friend of a friend that can give you an interview, I think that's a great way to get ready. So you can go through experience and get comfortable with that.
Great. Any other insight? Or we go to the next question. So Abe, what is the other question on the interviewing?
The next question is, this is different. This is about when I'm in the role. So the question is, what is the path for someone at Microsoft that might want to go from developer to lead/management?
Okay, who wants to take that one?
I can take it. Yeah, I reply a little bit on the chat. Well, the first thing I do is talk to my manager and tell my interest, right? Because your manager is going to try to get you the right opportunity to do that. The second one, in order to get ready for that, there are many things you could do. You can start mentoring others. You can start maybe internship. You can maybe mentor an intern. You can manage an intern. You can try to develop your leadership skills. Take a task that requires bringing people together. All those things can help you to create the background, but definitely talking to your manager is the most important part. The other thing is talk to our managers, understand what the role is, try to get as much insights as you can, maybe add a mentor manager to your network and try to explore that. But definitely the first step is your manager is the best one that can provide you resources. Trainings are also a good thing. Microsoft has many that are online available to you. There is one even called something like Thinking About Being a Manager. So you can start there too.
Great tips. Abe, any other questions that we have?
Yeah, so just going to call out, we have 6 minutes left to the end of the Q&A. So if you have more questions, please put them in the chat. But we do have a question around what projects are the AI team working on that focus on natural language processing or other AI tools that augment or increase the usability/ease of access in the education sector? Super specific, but if anyone has any answers or insights on that, that'd be great.
Franklin or Joanna, do you have insights on that?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, I got sidetracked answering a question on the side.
Yeah, the question is around what projects are the AI team working on that focus on natural language processing or other AI tools to augment or increase the usability/ease of access in the education sector?
Yeah, I think that was part of what Hassan was covering in the demo. So in natural language understanding, we are integrating, our technology that was LUIS, this way how we call it, into being more, training the model and being more internet. I will say more, adding more languages, more precision, and as the model learn, so it will improve not only in education, right, but also in any industry or the customer needs, right, that require NLP, it will be integrated. That's an example, but in the all cognitive services space, so including vision, not only language, also speech. So we have an interesting project. I can think, I can mention one that is publicly, promoted, is the recently work that we did with Peloton on text-to-speech and speech-to-text, and how that, enhance of the quality of the interaction, even doing exercise on your bike. So it's, increasing that engagement, right? And it's how we enhance, the cognitive services, the human cognitive, right? Not only on education, but applications in education are also similar, because of the way that you understand the language, naturally speak, is going to improve the way how we impact, the people, that is how they are learning in their own languages, and they can interact, easily, right? I can mention those two.
Another pretty cool one that I can talk about because it was announced in Ignite is Microsoft is working with Copilot GitHub, which is a tool, a service that you can just start coding and add the comments what your function wants to do, and it's gonna throw code for you with code that is gonna solve the problem you're describing there. That's pretty cool. You can search online.
Great. 3 more minutes. So, Abe, maybe this is the last question.
I think this is going to be the last question. The question is around, so Microsoft is a big machine. What is one thing that you would change on your day-to-day operations that causes you frustration?
Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we are super big, super large. So sometimes we move a little bit slower than I wish we could move. And so sometimes driving those agreements, bringing teams together, takes work. And my team is.
Oh, we lost Hugo. So who wants to go next, and we'll bring him back?
I'll give it a shot. I think in my case, Microsoft invests so much resources and energy in making the best experience for our customers, but unfortunately, sometimes our internal tools are not quite there yet. So I think sometimes it can be frustrating to use some of our compliance and tools like that we use to maintain our services. That I wish sometimes we invested a little more time on that than we do. I think things that are external facing, they are great. Things that are internal, we could do a little better.
Yeah, I agree with that one. So I think we're at the time, Abe. So who leads the next part? Is it Jesse or Will or?
That would be me. So what I like to do at this point is just remind our candidates that we need your latest resume to send over to the Microsoft AI platform team. We probably have a resume that you've already submitted, or that one of my team members may have found to introduce you and invite you to this event. But based on what you've heard today and what you learned today about some of the skills that the AI platform team is looking for, if you'd like to update your resume to make sure to highlight those skills that you might have that the team might be interested in, we would highly encourage you to send us your latest resume. So if you look into the chat, I'm posting the quick link to the resume submission form on our website. So we're going to collect those resumes, and then actually tomorrow we are going to send all of your resumes over to the AI platform team and our contact Jesse, and they will begin to review resumes and then look for opportunities where there may be a fit between some of the resumes that they're finding and some of the open opportunities that they're ready to interview for. And then some of you will get a phone screen interview first, followed by an interview loop, followed by hopefully an offer for employment. So just remember, these are real opportunities with the AI platform team. As you can see, I told you, you should definitely come to this event. This is going to be a special opportunity to not only learn more about Microsoft, learn more about AI platform, but what I love is you got to learn about some of the team members and their backgrounds and what led them to work at Microsoft and enjoy working at Microsoft, what excites them about their opportunities that they're working on currently. So I'm super happy that those of you that are with us had that opportunity to not only meet the team members, to engage and ask questions, but we're not done yet. So make sure to follow up by sending us your latest resume to the link that I'm going to throw in the chat one more time. And then with that, what I like to do is, instead of myself having the last word, I'd like to pass it back to you, Maria, to maybe whatever words of encouragement you might have for our diverse candidates that are interested in working for Microsoft.
Thank you, Will. So, it has been great to having you all here. The first word is you can make it. I came, to this country, I didn't know any English at all, and I have a heavy accent, but I made it to the biggest company in the world, which is fantastic. You can too. So these are my 4 things that I recommend. Ask a lot of questions. And this is what the panelists said. Prepare, do your homework on the teams that you are that you're interviewing, questions about the company, not only technical questions, products, anything that you are interested, culture, all that. Follow up, after, if you make the interview, follow up, with questions. People love, they be proactive when you ask questions and come back. And a tip during the interview, if you don't know the answer, don't panic. Basically, ask more questions and then try to get the answer by asking questions. So with that, we thank you for attending today. Submit the resumes like Will mentioned, and connect with us. I already saw some people connecting in LinkedIn. So with us, happy with the panelists, and then we're happy to answer any other questions that you may have. Thank you. So I think we are, this will be the end, right, Will?
You know what? We've got 5 more minutes. So for any candidates that have a little bit of extra time, you guys can hang around and I'll show a quick video if I can. Hopefully my screen doesn't freeze up. But yeah, we're pretty much done. Thank you to the Microsoft team for sharing your experiences, sharing your opportunities. Without you, we couldn't make this event happen and couldn't make this event as special as it has been. And to all of our candidates, if you guys don't show up, we can't have these events and we can't make great things like this happen. So to all our candidates, we thank you as well for taking the time out. But what I want to do is I want to share a quick video, if I can find it real quick, since we have a couple of extra minutes. Let me find this quick video for you guys from one of our previous events. So this is me sort of ad-libbing on the fly. But let me show this video. So for those of you that need to head out, thank you again for attending the event. For those of you that want to hang around and check out this video that I want to share, feel free to do that. So I'm going to share it right now. Include my cute computer sound. I think this might be a little bit motivational for some of you guys. Okay, so we have Pablo here, who recently joined Microsoft after having attended a couple of our HBCU Connect Trabajamos events with Microsoft. So what I wanted to do is just do a quick follow up with Pablo to learn about his experience and how things went and what he is doing now after having accepted a job offer from Microsoft. So Pablo, how are you?
Good, Will. How are you?
Good, good. So first of all, can you tell everybody kind of like where you're from and your background a little bit?
Sure, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, well, my name is Juan Pablo Garcia. So in my new job in Microsoft, they know me as Juan, my first name.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm from Colombia, South America. I moved to the US back in 2012. I came here to study English. I went first to St. Louis, Missouri, to live with my sister. Sorry. I studied English over there. Then I came to Chicago to study a master's. I finished it in 2015. It was focusing software engineering. So after that, I started, I found a job here doing mobile development, mobile applications. Right before coming to from Colombia to the US, I was doing a lot of mobile development, small apps, like playing a little bit with video games. So that was something I was really passionate about when I graduated. I did some job on mobile apps as well in the university where I was studying. So yeah, I started working in this company in Chicago, doing initially mobile apps. Then, it was a small company, so I started playing with other technologies, backend, front end. Yeah, I spent like 6 years there until May 17th that I joined Microsoft as a full stack developer, like with heavy backend development.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, I did a lot of stuff in my previous job, from mobile to backend, and now, I feel more comfortable doing more backend. So,
¿De qué parte de Colombia?
Cerca de Bogotá, close to Bogotá.
Yo amo Colombia. Mi hermano está viviendo allá en Medellín ahora.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I love Colombia. It's my favorite place outside of the United States. So,
I'll say your brother picked like a really nice city to live in.
Yeah,
it's one of the best cities in Colombia. My favorite one.
Sí, está casado allá. Yeah. So excellent. I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. So first question I wanted to ask is, how did you find out about the events with Microsoft that we were doing?
Yes, so I guess through networking, I got a notification about the event through an email. You guys reach out to me, HBCU Connect / Trabajamos, right? Which is the other org.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the description. I saw Microsoft there. I was also ready, to look for a new opportunity. So I just joined the event, and after that, everything started right, after the event. Next day, I started this process. So yeah.
Did one of the recruiters from Microsoft reach out to you?
No. Actually, I think it wasn't you. It was another person who reached out to me regarding this event.
Okay.
And then yeah, I joined. That's when I saw you in the presentations and everything. So it wasn't a Microsoft recruiter.
Okay. And then after the event, what was the process like for you to get an interview?
Yes. So during the event, you guys always, post some URLs where you can go and submit, the resume and everything. I followed all the steps. Next day, I was reached out by a Microsoft recruiter. That was the very first time I was reached out by a recruiter from Microsoft.
Okay.
Yeah. So we set up a call. She, introduced me to the job description, or to, what was the job about. Then what else? Yeah, she sent me another link to submit my resume officially with Microsoft into the Microsoft system. And then after that is where, we start the process. She explained a little bit how the process was. Right the next day, she reached out to me.
Oh, wow. So how long did it take from your first interview to getting an offer?
All right, so I was doing the timeline. Mine took, let me see. So there are several steps, right? But I would say in this specific case, we went into a virtual on-site very fast, because there was some timeline that you had to follow, right? So in total, we had the event in January, February, probably a few weeks after, I had my on-site in March, and then I got my offer. Let me see, I have the date here. Yes, I was doing the whole timeline. So yes, so March 24, I received the offer, right? So I spent like a month, with the new recruiter. Okay, yeah, because I in the whole process I had to work with two recruiters, right? The first recruiter was the one that reached out to me after the event.
Yep.
We worked all the way until I was until I passed the virtual on-site. After that, I started working with another recruiter for a month. So I would say month and a half until I had the offer. Half a month with the technicals, interviews, and everything. Then I started working on the offer.
So what team are you working on now?
Right now, this is something I've been learning a lot. So Microsoft is a big organization, but inside Microsoft, inside as part of Microsoft, there are sub-organizations. So the event was to, to work inside CSEO, which now is known as Microsoft Digital. So inside Microsoft Digital, there are also other organizations and groups. I'm part of the employee experience group. So we basically develop, processes, to make collaboration inside employers, between employers, to make it serious.
Okay, very nice. So, what's your actual title? Software engineer?
Software engineer too. Yes.
Okay. Well, excellent, man. I think it's always good to hear stories like yours, where people attend the events, they actually get hired from the events, and have a new career. I know Microsoft is a great company. Now, did you have to relocate, or are you working remote?
Yes, that's a good question. So as part of the, putting together the offer, you also work on the relocation piece. Yes, I'm relocating from Chicago to Seattle.
Okay.
So people at Microsoft, they are going to start going to the office in September, right? So yeah, I've been working from Chicago. I started May 17th.
Okay.
And now I'm about to move. So that was the other part of the process. Talking about like the base, also the relocation assistance from Microsoft.
Perfect. Well, congratulations on that. And there's a really good network there in Seattle, so there should be lots of opportunities for you in the future. So my last question is, do you have any advice for the candidates coming behind you that are going to be going through sort of the same process? Any advice?
Yes, definitely. So, the initial process or the technical piece is very standard, right? Like between other tech companies, but I will tell them, yeah, practice for online coding, but also be ready to share the experiences, right? Like, because that's what, at the end, the persons that are interviewing you, they want to hear, they want to hear how, how do you face certain, cases in your previous jobs? Of course, like being able to write code online and solve few problems helps. So that's also, we need to practice for. But now I think, in these processes, they are looking for like stories, for instance, what is something cool that you have developed and that has helped your previous company, things like that. So be ready to share as much as they can, about the previous jobs or experiences.
Excellent. So, hey, Juan Pablo, quiero decirte gracias. También felicidades. Disfruta tu nueva carrera in Microsoft. So thank you very much. Really appreciate you. We can't make these events happen without stories like yours. So this is very, very helpful. So I won't take up any more of your time, but I just wanted to say thank you and best of luck to you.
Sure.
Okay, everyone, I just wanted to share that quickly, but I wanted to thank you all. I'm super excited for you and the potential for your careers. And thank you for hanging with us to enjoy this event. And please take advantage of this opportunity and make the most of it. Thanks again to the Microsoft team, Lars, Abe, Maria, thanks for moderating. This was a great event, and I'm looking forward to seeing that recording and sharing it with our candidates. And to our candidates, thank you again, and have a great evening or great afternoon. Take care.
Thank you.